Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to week 6. What's in your songs?
What's in your songs?
That was super fitting because this week is about praise, thanksgiving, and joy. So we see in the Psalms that they're not only about lament, but they're oftentimes about expressing joy and praise. In fact, many of the Psalms are even songs. Our passage for this week is Psalm 98.
Sing a new song to the Lord, for He has done wonderful deeds. His right hand has won a mighty victory. His holy arm has shown His saving power. The Lord has announced His victory and has revealed His righteousness to every nation. He has remembered His promise to love and be faithful to Israel. The ends of the earth have seen the victory of our God. Shout to the Lord, all the earth. Break out in praise and sing for joy. Sing your praise to the Lord with the harp and melodious song, with trumpets and the sound of the ram's horn. Make a joyful symphony before the Lord, the King. Let the sea and everything in it shout His praise. Let the earth fall and things join in. Let the rivers clap their hands in glee. Let the hills sing out their songs of joy before the Lord. For He has come to judge the earth. He will judge the world with justice and the nations with fairness.
Thank you, Rachel. So in this passage, we see different ways in which we can praise the Lord. His love for us, His acts, His character. This passage also mentions worshiping creation, song. Now, I'm not a musician, but you guys are, and you probably worship in piano. I feel like because of that, you offer a unique perspective on the topic of worship. So would you care to share what that means to you?
Of course, yeah. I feel like most often we see worship in the form of song of music. You know, that's definitely not the only way. There's I do it differently now, but I definitely feel like worship is just being able to express your love for the Lord, your thankfulness, but also just kind of feel that, have an environment that just reflects the Lord's blessings and stuff for us.
I agree. I definitely agree with Mickey here. I think it's normal for us to think that worship is just music or just a talent or something like if you can't sing, well, you can't worship. That's not the case here. It's definitely a thankfulness that we can give for God. You know, it's a daily lifestyle that we can give, and we can simply give it with our obedience. The moment I feel like we're obeying and we're living under the obedience with God, it's definitely a moment where we're telling God, you know what, God, you are right. You are the Lord of my life, or you are the King. It's the same thing as saying thank you, or saying you are enough. So I feel like definitely that's what's worship.
Yeah, I think y'all perfectly captured the heart of worship, how we tend to kind of box it into one thing. There are many ways in which we can worship. So kind of to add to that, what are some of the specific practices y'all do when you worship?
I feel like whenever I participate in worship in a group and I'm either playing or singing or leading, I feel like that is much more an act of service to everyone else.
He sings really good, by the way.
So that they might have a worship experience, you know. But I feel like on my own, I tend to be more just one-on-one with the Lord and praying or just talking to Him or reading scripture by myself. I feel like that's where I feel like I'm worshiping the most, or feeling close with Him.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like I'm in a group setting, and I get to worship in a group setting. I like to see myself as an opportunity for not only trying to minister to other people's heart, but also my objective of ministering God's heart. And I like to kind of see the analogy of like the Wi-Fi box. You know, the purpose of the Wi-Fi box is to connect us to the internet. Devices connect to the Wi-Fi box. The Wi-Fi box connects to the internet. And in this case, when I get to lead worship, I feel like I'm becoming a Wi-Fi box. I see the Wi-Fi box as being the connection, the thing that connects us to the internet. In this case, the internet is what feeds the Wi-Fi to the devices. Okay, so I like to see this example as God being the internet, the box being me in the case, or whoever is leading the worship, and then the devices being the people that are trying to connect with God. Through all of this, I would strongly recommend that whoever is the Wi-Fi box is remembering that we have to be connected to God. there's no way for us to give something. It's like that phrase that says, "Don't give from what you don't have." You know, like making sure that we have it first in order to give it to others. And I feel like that's a way where I like to see ways of worshiping whenever I'm in a group setting. But remembering that I'm not only just ministering to people's heart, but also to God's heart. That should be our objective.
Yeah, I really like what I'll have to say about that. I think sometimes we kind of think of worship as it has to be one thing. I think it all really helps broaden the definition and perspective of worship. So another thing we've noticed in this passage is a common theme of joy in connection to worship. Do y'all want to share a little bit about why y'all think those two might be linked to worship?
That's a really good question. I feel like in the past when I've heard that question before, my first reaction to that was always worship and joy should be something very joyful, something exciting, something where we are making sure that we're pushing each other or we're jumping over others. And I feel like my perspective in that has changed. It could also be moments where you're going through a really, really hard time, but within that moment, you have the strength to remember that God is still good. You know, I feel like that's the moment where we're not surrendering to our problem, but we're surrendering our problem to Him. And I feel like that's when you can realize, wow, okay, joy is definitely taking over my situation. Like, you're not necessarily ignoring that there's a time for lamenting, there's a time for hurt, for getting angry, but your first reaction is not maybe getting angry, but thanking God for it first.
Yeah.
You know, going to Him. And then you're honest with Him, you're blunt, and being like, this really makes me mad, or this really makes me really sad. But that's how I feel like. That's how I feel.
Yeah, sure. They definitely go hand in hand, of course. I think that you can worship as a result of joy that you feel. I think like Psalm 100 becomes like make a joyful noise, and that's like worshiping because you feel this thankfulness and this joy from blessings that God has given you. Like, how can this is what I have. Like, how can I give this back to the Lord? And even the other way around, you can feel joy as a result of that worship. Like Psalm 13 kind of has this transition from sovereign to feeling that joy, and that it's kind of like acknowledging God that He is in the situation, and in a way that's a form of worship. I mentioned this transition to joy through that worship.
Well, why don't we talk about what joy means to us? I feel like we've talked about factors that can play along with it, but what does it really mean to us personally?
Yeah, I feel like joy can be a really confusing term. I know for me it definitely was. I grew up and I thought like joy and happiness were synonymous, and I've come to realize they're not. It's more than like just the feel-good butterflies. It's much deeper. There's this really good quote from this pastor named Jonathan Pluta. It says, "Happiness comes from happenings, but joy comes from Jesus, and that's not based on circumstances."
I think you should say that again. We need to hear it again.
Okay.
Go for it.
Happiness comes from happenings, but joy comes from Jesus, and that's not based on circumstances. Yeah. So like happiness is rooted in our circumstances, whereas joy is a mindset. It's a condition of the heart. When Corey Holt first told me about choosing joy, she honestly changed my life. She was a counselor out here. Some of y'all remember her. Many of you don't love her. I do too. So shout out to Corey. But yeah, I didn't quite understand the concept when she first shared it with me. It was just kind of confusing. But through like a lot of reflection and just seeking out different resources on what joy is, what does it mean, I've come to learn it doesn't necessarily just mean simplistic definitions. I don't always have a choice over my circumstances or how other people will treat me or how they'll respond. But I do have a choice over how I respond and how I perceive the situation. It's kind of reframing things in a much healthier way. Ultimately, reframing things that I'm perceiving in these situations. In fact, in Nehemiah 8:10, it talks about how the joy of the Lord is our strength. And I've just really been resting on that verse and pressing into it, reflecting on what does that actually mean.
Yeah, I really like that quote. Kind of like understanding that, like all good things, joys and gift from God. You know, in every situation, He, in like good or bad in the situation, He presents the opportunity to feel joy. And sometimes you may not be feeling really happy or whatever, you know, but you still have that choice to be joyful, to feel the love that He is always trying to give.
So do you guys think that maybe through the process of joy, are you going to deal with suffering?
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you guys? What do you guys have on that?
Yeah. So an interesting thing we find in the scriptures is actually the combination of joy and suffering. We like to think of them as two separate things and that you wouldn't necessarily have the two together, but in fact it even talks about the cross and joy. And I can't imagine, you know, looking at the cross in a joyful way, except for the fact that, like, you know, Jesus was looking at the cross and saw, like, wow, I've never related to that. Like, I'm not looking forward to the cross. That's not why He was joyful. It's like He could finally restore that relationship with us.
You know, and I think I remember seeing a picture in Instagram or somewhere, I don't remember, but it was two guys that were in prison, and both of them were looking out to the same window at the same rail that was in that window and the same view behind them. Both of them had this picture frame where they were drawing what they were seeing. And one of them was actually drawing what was behind the rail, but the other one was drawing the window of the rail and what was behind the rail. And I feel like when you were explaining about Jesus looking at the cross, I can definitely see Jesus as the first guy that I was describing on this illustration that I'm explaining of he not looking at the cross as a barrier, but as a sign of hope. What's going to be behind it, you know? And I feel like that's where he found his joy, not just in a piece of wood, but saying, what is this going to give me? It's going to give me a relationship with me. And I feel like sometimes it's just what we decide to see in the moment. Maybe not the circumstance as it is, but what's behind that circumstance.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah. I love how you put that. So kind of related to that, in James 1:2-4, it talks about joy and suffering. It says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and He will give it to you."
I like that verse. I really like that. I feel like it's a really good way of explaining the combination of both. Now, how do you guys think we can probably nurture this joy? How can we nurture the process of all of this?
Yeah, sure. I honestly don't want to agree about this, but like most importantly, foster like a joyful environment within yourself, where just nurture that feeling of joy is through worship. It's important to remember that worship is such an important thing when it comes to joy. Making sure that you're acknowledging God's gifts and expressing those through a form of worship, or the other way, or worshiping so you can feel that joy. Right? I think that's very important.
I definitely agree with that. Like when you're telling us to remember the good part of the things of our lives, and what we talked about journaling in one of our first videos, and I feel like we really encourage to make sure that whatever situation you're going through, write it down. But what if we practiced our minds to also write the good things? Like for instance, the moment someone winks at you, maybe they're your your crush. Write it down because it's a good moment that happened to you. You know, I hug Mickey. Mickey, go write that down. It's like the best thing that happened in your life.
Yeah.
Like things like that, because there's going to be a moment where it's really easy to just remember the hard things. It's really easy to just remember really downfalls that we had in our lives. And the enemy is very, very good at telling us that, see, you're in the same situation. That's where you belong. Oh, there's no way out for you. Look at yourself again. Why do you even try? And I feel like the fastest way that we can defeat that is by reading the good stuff that are part of our lives as well. Because it's just, we have to react. We have to react to it quickly. And like spending all this with you guys is really good. I'm glad that we got the chance to open our hearts and be genuine in this and being real. That, yeah, we do receive joy, but is it easy?
No, not
It's not
always.
going to be easy. It's something that we have to do every single day. Practice it, practice it, practice it. And the more we do it, we get better at it. I mean, probably by the end of this video, we're probably going to have some struggles. But the thing that we want you guys to remember is the same thing that we decide to remember. That Christ is enough. And that we decide to walk to Him, to the cross, that will ultimately define our destination. Not our circumstances define our destination. But we decide to just lay it down to Him. So we encourage you guys to also take your time to look at some of the links that we're going to leave underneath this video with some of the songs that help us find joy. Or even when we're in joyful moments, we like to celebrate with some of these songs. And feel free to share some of yours. Okay? So thank you guys for watching, and I hope that this has been edifying for you. And hopefully you guys can stay connected and share with your family. So make sure to subscribe and stay connected. Bye.
Bye.